What's up, guys? I'm so pumped about this.
Yes, it's going to be an absolute game changer. Can we all just give Lacy a round of applause for making this happen? She put together a whole 31-page presentation in like 3 hours with full-out graphics. Shout out the branding company that is Lacy Garza.
You know, I just can't help it. Well, and I got it. I got the inspiration. I was like, this is exactly what needs to happen. So I'm really excited. Well, and I feel like I have a lot to add, and to kind of go deeper and to talk about with you guys in this book. And what made me realize that I wanted to do this is the fact that I started reading it again, and I've read it multiple times. But I started reading this version, the original version, and this version is so different. And when I read it again, I realized that I understood it totally differently. So in the beginning, I didn't really grasp a lot of the concepts. So I think that it takes so many times to grasp these concepts, but maybe if we walk through some of them together, we can help you guys grasp them a little bit faster.
Agreed.
What's up, guys? How's it going?
Plus, it's amazing because literally, this first chapter we're about to do today literally describes the first 2 years of our life in entrepreneurship.
Yeah, it does.
So it's pretty cool to be able to relate to that. And we'll give you guys a breakdown of how that works out so therefore you may have your own example. And this might help you realize that, hey, you are on the right track.
Yeah, you guys are going to see. You're really going to love it, I think.
You just got to keep pushing.
And so it is pretty long. So we'll go ahead and start rolling. And these are just going to be used forever. We will watch these on replay forever and do watch parties. And like Bob Proctor said, he has spent decades of his life reading this book. And so I think that we can spend a lot of time with this book too. This can be the main book. I feel like it encompasses all the principles. And so let's just stick with one and really understand it together.
Look at that gorgeous designs.
Thanks, Bear. All right, so welcome to our Think and Grow Rich series. I'm pumped to do this with you guys.
Cheers.
And this is going to be chapter 1. Bear is drinking wine. I'm drinking coffee.
Sunday, guys. So cheers to the best 90 days of your life coming right on up, starting tonight.
And I'll tell you what, this chapter is probably going to be the most mind-blowing, and that's because it's the introduction.
Yeah.
So we hit on a lot of really big things really fast, but this is good because it's going to allow you guys to play with these concepts in your mind and really think about this over the week, and then you'll be prepared when we hit them again. So this is going to be big. And it's okay if you don't understand. It might take a while for these things to start making sense, but that's okay. That's why Bob Proctor's read this book for decades, right? He said it took him 9 years to really get it. So this is the Magic 13. These are the 13 principles in this book, and we're not going to hit on these today, but I wanted to put them here so you could go ahead and screenshot them. And you can start thinking about these and looking at this list in your free time because it's awesome. I don't know, do you think we should go through these really quick?
Yeah, we can.
So number 1, burning desire. You must be in love with your goal. Number 2, absolute faith, no matter what. And we're going to talk about that today. Number 3, self-talk. Say your goal to yourself 2 times daily in the present tense. Number 4, specialize. Become the expert in one narrow focus. Number 5, imagination. What the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Number 6, plan. Make a plan, work the plan. Do you want to do the rest of them?
Yeah, hold on.
Number 7, take massive action. Decide now. Reach decisions promptly. The universe loves speed. Notice how we took this. Today it was boom, it's up. The speech, boom, we did it.
That's
fast.
pretty much the speed we move at, right?
Yes.
So number 8 is be persistent, never give up, ever. Number 9, form a mastermind, the power of proximity. I love that one. Number 10, transform your sexual desire into fuel to achieve your goal.
Wow.
Number 11, reprogram your beliefs. Number 12, listen to your gut feelings. I absolutely love that one. And number 13, your sixth sense. Be open to the universe, God, higher power, infinite intelligence, or whatever you want to call it.
Yes, that one's really big too. All right, so chapter 1, this is the introduction. We're going to slam a lot of things hard in this tonight. So this chapter is about the man who thought his way into a partnership with Thomas Edison. And I just want to stop. This is at the end of the chapter, but I wanted to put it at the very beginning because maybe it'll help you guys grasp some of this stuff and adopt it for yourself. The principles in this book were gathered from the lives of more than 500 successful men who accumulated riches in huge amounts, and these men began in poverty, with little education, and without influence.
Hey.
All right, so let's talk about Edison and Barnes. So you guys know who Thomas Edison was. He was a famous inventor, probably one of the most famous inventors ever known.
One of the inventors.
And this man, Barnes, he was just an average man. And he decided that he was going to partner with Thomas Edison. And so this guy's story is amazing because he wanted to do this so bad that he left to go see Thomas Edison with no guarantee that he could work with him. He could not afford the train, so he rode by freight. And when he got there, he doesn't even really know what he said when he looked at Edison. And Edison agreed that he could work for him, and Edison did not know why he agreed. And so this is the quote. He stood there looking like an ordinary tramp, but there was something in the expression of his face which conveyed the impression that he was determined to get what he had come after. And that to me is absolutely amazing. I'm going to do this one, and then do you have a story you want to tell?
Yeah, we can tell them the story.
And so it wasn't about who Barnes was. It wasn't about what he looked like. It wasn't about the knowledge or the skills that he possessed. It wasn't about his influence. Edison hired him on the spot because of his thoughts. So it's not what you say. It's not what you do. It's not who you are. And it is not who you know. It is the power of your thoughts.
And I just feel this story all the way down to my core. So in 2016, we just started Indiana Creatives. We were just starting our entrepreneur journey. We were like 3 months in. We were going through the whole fighting self-doubt because the jobs, like at that point, we had to go get our own jobs, right? And they weren't coming as quickly as we wanted.
And we had never done anything like this. I mean, we had never had a business or really networked with professionals. Like, we were just absolutely clueless.
This was literally 3 months after I quit my job on our wedding day to start a business, right? So we're going through the motions, and, you know, just like all of you guys might be going through, we're just like, is this for me? Like, did we mess up? Should we go back to doing what we were doing? Long story short, a marketing director for an estate sale company gets in contact with me because of our design business. And he said, hey, we should get drinks. So then he connects me to this guy who owns this company. And this guy is a millionaire. He's a millionaire. His family comes from hundreds of millions, just the complete opposite side. So this, to me, was like our way to meet the next level of people that we were supposed to get in with networks-wise.
He has so many stories like this.
So I got like 6 of them. But this was our first one. So me, it was the most important because so many things were proven on this from this book right here. So literally, when I met him, we needed money. So I was like, hey, can I come work with you? And in my mind, I was like, I just have to show him that I have value because my whole thing is to become his right-hand man and literally become like almost like a partnership with him to where I want to go 50-50 with him on his business. So started out as a laborer, just showed up, and I was like, hey, I need some extra money. Help me out. So he said, okay, come on. And then worked one sale with him, and then we had our moment. And this is like what Barnes, what he had, where he was like, I don't know what I said, but I just said something and it worked. And I literally looked at him. We were like a couple of drinks in, and I was just like, I feel like I could help you run your business. Or like, I feel like I could run your sales. And it happened to be at the right exact time because he just got approved for franchising in 36 states and wanted to focus on that. And he needed somebody to focus on the day-to-day stuff. And here we are 3 months into a business trying to figure out life, just like, what I'm here for all the daily operations. And he literally said, perfect, let's do it, and started training me from there.
Yeah.
And we can go further into that story as this book goes on. But yeah, that was our setup 3 years ago.
And it's like we hadn't ever personally developed or read. We just had no other options. Like we were at the bottom and there was nothing else. And so it's like we have embodied and lived this book. And
way before reading it.
It's just amazing. Yeah, so it's nice that we can kind of give you guys some of our experiences where we've seen it happen. You know, we've seen it work.
And maybe you guys do know that person right now who can help you level up, your next mentor, you need to attack them. Because the thing is, that mentor will see in you a young version of them. And if they can see a young version of them inside of you, you're in there. You got all the resources, all like the personal mentoring going on. I love this topic.
Tim collects mentors like it's his job. It's amazing.
I've had 6, yeah, and it's where it's at.
So this is our big first lesson from chapter 1. Lesson 1, when a man really desires a thing so deeply that he is willing to stake his entire future on a single turn of the wheel in order to get it, he is sure to win. He's sure to win. And you know, I feel like it's because you're showing life. You're showing God. You're showing infinite intelligence. You're saying, this is what I'm going to do. And I'm doing it with or without you. Like, I'm doing this no matter what. And when life sees that, it cannot help but to just get right behind you. So, magic questions. And guys, I want to show you this. This is going to be downloadable when we get done. This is our worksheet. So we can really take some time with this week. I gave you guys a power mantra and an explanation with it. And so we'll hook you up after this.
Amazing.
So the magic questions here, and you guys don't have to answer these now. You can take your time with this, with the worksheet. What have you risked for your business? Have you showed life that this is it for you? Number 2, how have you invested in your business? So for example, buying a Manifest 2020 ticket, perfect way to show life that you're invested in this business. Number 3, take a look at 1 and 2 and determine how confident you really are. So if life was looking at what you've risked and what you've invested, how would life think that you feel about your business, right? Would life want to get behind you? Have you showed it that you're in this thing? And then lastly, throughout this entire book, we're going to talk about our parents, because our parents are the people that helped us develop our subconscious limiting beliefs.
Our programming.
So last but not least, how risky and invested were your parents when it came to their goals? And those are things that you guys can kind of ponder over and think about. I don't know if you want to go on any of those, but
here's a little trick I've always done. I've always done the complete opposite of what my parents have told me to do. And it worked out pretty great. And you guys are going to see this as we go on, that there's a new shift in thinking as far as between generations. And you guys will see that.
Yes.
We're a lot more riskier now. We're all for it.
Well, and also, you know, we don't have as many options. Like, it's like people got to make something happen today. All right, so next. Barnes kept his knowing that he would partner with Edison, because remember, he's just working for Edison. He's just doing his little like assistant jobs, and you know, he's being like a laborer almost. So he kept his knowing that he was going to be Edison's partner. And he decided to use this amount of time, years, that he worked for Edison to strengthen his desire to become his partner. And so he stayed determined for years. And he would not give up. And I love this quote right here. What a different story men would have to tell if only they would adopt a definite purpose and stand by that purpose until it had time to become an all-consuming obsession. Obsession. That is what it takes for life to get behind you. You've got to love and be obsessed, absolutely obsessed with what you're doing. And so that's lesson 2. You have to become obsessed. And this is the hard part about it. Becoming obsessed is your responsibility. It's almost like we look at like our upline and our downline and leaders, and we're like, you're supposed to make me care about this business. Becoming obsessed is your responsibility. And it's all about how deep is your why. You know, if you're creating this account to help your kids go to college, you're obsessed, right? So becoming obsessed is up to you. You got anything you want to add in?
Because I feel like a lot of us, at least a lot of people that we run into, they want that insane success that everybody talks about. But they also want to ask, how much time do I need to put into this? Like, those two don't add up. So if you actually want to reach the levels that you want to reach, you have to become obsessed. 14-hour days, 15-hour days. You go to sleep thinking about this stuff. You wake up thinking about this stuff. You bust your butt for a year, and then you take the rest of your life off.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, we've been kind of like I kind of stepped back to focus on personal development and all that stuff. But you have to understand that I was personally developing for the business, you know? So like, you can stay obsessed in your everyday life. You can take your focus and place it somewhere else and still be completely obsessed with your business. I feel like what it means is that you have to know this is it. This is the one way. This is how I'm going to do it. And that alone is going to form that absolute obsession. I feel like that's how we've gotten all of ours.
Yeah, absolutely.
No other choice. This is it.
Because what's really helped us is that, so when you're in that phase of earning that you really want this, because the whole struggle, that's you every single day earning, you know, proving that you want this. And what needs to happen is that every time you hit a wall, every time we've hit something, we just kind of distract ourselves by learning another skill inside of the business. So maybe it's communication skills, maybe it's marketing, whatever it may be, whatever helps us become stronger affiliates, that's what we need to do. So when you guys hit a wall, don't just give up and put it down and walk away. Figure out, okay, where did I take the loss here? How can I learn from this? And what skills do I need to study so I can critique this and make this better?
Yeah, what knowledge do I need to climb the wall?
And before you know it, it becomes fun because you're no longer just beating a dead horse. You're like, okay, this didn't work. Let me go back to the lab. Let me learn some new stuff. Let me test this out. And when you start getting those little victories, that's when your confidence starts rising up. And that's what all of this is about. It's about building confidence.
Okay, so our magic cues for this. On a scale of 1 to 10, how obsessed are you with succeeding in your business? Number 2, how can you increase your score to 10? That is your responsibility. And number 3, how obsessed with success were your parents? And I want you guys to think, when it comes to these parent questions, whoever your parental roles or role in your life was, it's going to have a lot to do with the way you think about it. You know, if you were raised a certain way, you might not think that you think that way, but we form our subconscious beliefs before the age of 7. And so a lot of the things that happened before the age of 7 were everything to do with your parents. So it might seem kind of silly to think about your parents in all of these situations, but before you know it, you might pull out a piece of gold and find a limiting belief of your own by thinking about your parents.
Like, this is literally going to be you just pulling up a mirror.
Yeah.
You're just looking at yourself for this whole book.
Yes. It is, because the secret ingredient is you, and that's what he's trying to help us find here.
So I hope you guys are ready to buckle in and ready for some self-evaluation.
Yes. All right, so next up, Edison released a new invention. His sales team was not enthusiastic. They did not think that they could sell this product. They didn't want to do it. And so Barnes recognized this as an opportunity. And you have to understand, Barnes would have never seen this as opportunity if he wasn't obsessed. Because when Thomas is like, yeah, you know, none of my salespeople want to sell this, I need somebody to sell it. Do you think that that sounded good to Barnes? Because he was an inventor. You know, this was not what he wanted to do. But because he was obsessed, he was able to find the opportunity in the trash can. And so he sold this so successfully that he did earn his partnership. And because of that, Edison has a slogan, made by Edison, installed by Barnes. He got a huge contract and they blew it up.
And guys, I promise, this is so accurate right here. So back to the estate sale business, right? When he got approved for franchising in 36 states, someone had to take over the managing position of the sales. And none of the people currently in that business wanted to do it because it was just too much responsibility. You had to manage a team. You had to prep a house, deal with customers. I was the only person that stepped up and did that because I saw an opportunity to get closer to him.
You got to make your move where you can.
Yeah, I was just, let me shimmy y'all in there real quick.
Right, we shimmy everywhere we can.
And then before we knew it, we were part of the family. You know what I mean? So I just love this book. Yeah, this is so accurate. So I promise, what she's talking about, this is 100% true. This stuff happens.
It's really all we really need.
Yeah.
So lesson 3 is, when one is truly ready for a thing, it puts in its appearance. When opportunity finally came, it slipped in the back door. So oftentimes, opportunity comes disguised as the form of misfortune, temporary defeat, and failure. And perhaps this is why so many people fail to recognize opportunity, right? Find the opportunity in the trash can. And I love this because you guys just watched him and I do this on stage. You know, we got kicked off the stage in the middle of our speech. We went backstage and we were like, we don't know why this happened, but we're going to make the freaking best of it. Said, let's pull up our big boy pants. Let's get back out there, you know? And we could do that because we're obsessed and because we love what we do.
And guys, like, in the 3 seconds that it was a hit, it was a humongous hit for us because we worked for 5 years for that. That was a 5-year climax right there. And it's so funny because you realize that losses and obstacles can be thrown every which way. Like, we never expected to be cut off for something that we worked that hard for, you know what I mean? But without that, a lot of you guys wouldn't be here today.
Right.
You know what I mean? We wouldn't be able to help you guys out even more than just 30 minutes. Now we're doing a full out training over weeks. So I felt like if we had to take the loss for all of you guys to take a W, we'll do that. That's all good. That works out.
Well, and you guys are going to see as we develop through this that life is perfect. And I think that's the easiest way to grasp all of these concepts. And so it was easy for us when we got kicked off. Life is perfect. This happened for a reason. Let's just roll with it, right? So let's see. With lesson 3, the fact that the results will come when your mind is ready for them. This helps us remove blame from our upline, our downline, our actions, our process, who we are, who we know, our age, our education, what we say, what we do, right? We cannot blame anyone.
That's the easiest too.
And it's beautiful too because you get the flip side of it. So then after we got kicked off of stage, I got to look at things and I was like, you know what? I'm so proud. But I'm not proud of the fact that we were on stage. I'm not proud of the fact that we're at this convention or the fact that we've got this team. I'm proud of who I am. Yes. And that's the only ingredient you need to be successful is you. And so all of this helps us remove the blame because the only thing that we can blame is our own mind. Yes.
And plus at that point, if every time you take a loss, and you just keep your head down the whole time, you're missing out on opportunities.
Yes.
Like if we would have just went back into our shell because we were embarrassed.
Or quit the business.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And not went out to that affiliate party or just stayed and retreated, we never would have set the example that we set for you guys. You know, because we're much more than just about talking. Like you guys got to watch us take a loss. And now you guys know that whatever you guys go through, you can eat that and then turn it into an opportunity.
Yes.
It's amazing.
So, magic cues for lesson 3. What have you mistakenly blamed for your lack of success? That one's a hard one, I know, but we've all done it. You know, I was there. This broke me. I blamed upline, downline, team, actions, process, myself. I blamed it all. And that's how I came to the discovery that there's nothing to blame except myself.
And I feel like all of you guys need to go through that. So understand that this is all cycles. You can't get to this level without going through the steps.
Yes.
So if you're going through blaming your upline, your downline, your actions, your process, who we are.
We grow through it.
Yeah, understand that now we know where you're at, right? We understand that this is part of the game. And don't just take yourself out of it, but realize that you're actually taking the steps to get up there. This is just part of it.
Yes, and it's beautiful. It's the best thing you're ever going to do for yourself. So number 2, how can you convince yourself that the only thing that determines success and failure is the contents of your mind? That is your responsibility. Amen. Isn't that hard? Because that's like a huge, wow, I'm accountable for my whole life. And that's the truth. And for some reason, we don't think that it is.
There's a beauty in that too.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And so 3, how did your parents deal with accountability? Because you have to think, like, we are all blameless in these generational curses that we hold on to. You know, it's nobody's fault. It's just the way that life is. And it's our responsibility to look at them when we become adults and to do what we can with them, right? Mm-hmm. And so we have no idea how much Barnes's original idea was worth in cash. Perhaps it brought him $2 to $3 million. But the knowledge that was discovered is much more valuable. And that knowledge is that an intangible impulse of thought can be transmuted into its physical counterpart by the application of known principles. So you can take your thought and you can make something with it. That's what that means.
Thoughts become things. Shout out Gina.
And so Barnes had no money, little education, no influence, but he did have initiative, faith, and the will to win. And with these intangible factors, he made himself #1 man with the greatest inventor who ever lived. Boom.
And anybody can do it.
Anybody can do it.
It's insane.
So next up is Darby. And he's got lessons that he's going to share with us. And his first lesson is about how he got 3 feet from gold. So Darby had gold fever, and he went digging. He found a golden ore. So he sees it. He's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to dig this up, and I'm going to be filthy freaking rich. And so he borrowed money from everyone he knew, and he went and bought equipment to dig up this ore. And so when he went digging, it was gone. They could not find the ore. He just spent all these people's money. And so he sold the equipment for a fraction of what he got for it, and he went home. And then the guy that he sold his equipment to found the gold ore 3 feet away.
Insane.
Oh my God. So that's Darby's first lesson. Lesson 4 in chapter 1. One of the most common causes of failure is the habit of quitting when one is overtaken by temporary defeat. Because that's what it is. It's temporary. It's like Tim said, it's a wall for us to climb over, right? And so before success comes in any man's life, he is sure to meet with much temporary defeat and perhaps even some failure. So failure is like you start a venture and you freaking fail. You quit and you move on to something new. Temporary defeat is you start a network marketing business and you go through the ups and downs, but you stay in it. And so the magic questions here, number 1, how will you make friends with temporary defeat in order to obtain success? And number 2, how did your parents handle temporary defeat? And I'll tell you what, guys, at this point in my life, I look at success and I look at a temporary defeat. And when I look at success, I'm like, this is amazing. Like, look at everything we get from this. So we receive a lot from success. But when I look at temporary defeat, I learn a lesson. So I get something that I can take with me to get to the success. So the defeats are literally the stair steps. They lead you right to your success if only you're strong enough to climb those walls, right? And so I look at them now and I'm like, holy cow, I'm grateful for these because they come automatically. I get to learn the lesson. The lesson brings me more success. And so I'm in love with temporary defeat now.
Because when you can make that switch, that it's no longer live or die by each little activity that you go through, each potential affiliate that you talk to is not live or die, each teammate is not live and die. It's all a series. It takes away that pressure and you're able to move, I guess, more fluidly. Because that's the whole thing here, is being fluid with how everything flows. And when you're so stuck up on every single hang up that you have to where, oh, I'm just gonna let this go for a couple of days.
You're missing stuff.
You're missing so many things. Like next time you get hit, we've all seen those movies where like the superhero is just pummeled to death, right? He's got no eyes, he's all crumpled up, but he keeps moving. And then he hits his brake. And then that's when it starts kicking off. So a lot of you guys are just taking hits right now. But that's part of paying your dues. And the thing is, when you're taking those hits, you learn how to move. Yeah. You learn how to dodge. You learn how to properly defend yourself on things. And then it starts moving faster because you're cutting out the pity party and you're going back to the planning stage, which is huge.
Yes, I love that.
Thanks, baby.
All right, so the next lesson, this one's called Mammy's Money. And so Darby was working with his uncle and a little girl. She was actually a servant girl. So this was a long time ago, and I hate to even say that. But so one of his little servant girls came in and demanded the money that he owed her mom. And I think it was 50 cents, 5 cents. And he said no. He told her to go away. And this guy is huge and intimidating. And Darby was like, oh my gosh, like he's scary. And this little girl went to go away, and then she turned back around and she screamed. She was like, my mammy needs that money. I'm not going anywhere. And to Darby's surprise, his uncle got up and walked over and took the money out of his pocket and just gave it to the little girl. And she turned around and she left as fast as she could. And so Darby could never make sense of that experience throughout his whole life. And what happened was he watched a grown man buckle to the will of a child, a servant child at that. So this was like, what just happened? And so somewhere in this book, you will begin to understand the strange power that came to the rescue of the little girl. You will find some type of idea that will help you find this power for yourself. So that is amazing. And we're going to talk a little bit about this with lesson 5. And this is like mine. This is what I've been talking about for a year. This is my baby. Search your simple experiences in life and find the lesson. Find the lesson. Everything that's ever happened to you, figure out why it had to happen to you to make you the person that you are today. And so our lessons are our stair steps to success. Our small everyday experiences hold the answers to our destiny in life. Our destiny. So if you let somebody make you cry for a week, how many signs are you missing from your destiny? You know what I mean? Like, we can't let these little things get us down because our destiny is all around us all the time.
Those pity parties are huge, guys.
Yes. And so if you just understand and you can open your eyes and look for your small miracles, you can profit from these experiences by analyzing them, like Darby, to find the lesson that they teach. And so if you do not have the time or inclination to study your personal failure in search of personal knowledge that will lead to success, you will never find the stair steps to opportunity. And so basically, he is telling us that life gives us the perfect life to give us all of the perfect lessons to reach our destiny. And it's our responsibility to recognize that.
I love that. Every situation is a perfect situation because it is the situation that is presented to you. That line right there changed everything. And it's amazing. Fun.
Yeah, and you know, I can do this with every single tragedy in my life. And my biggest is probably losing my dad. And my dad was my best friend, you guys. Like, he coached me all the way to the national gymnastics team. Like, we were thick as thieves. And we lost him really fast. And it was over the course of 3 months. We had no idea, and he was just gone. And so can I look at that and say that I had to have that dad, to say that I had to lose my best friend in order to create my own life? In order to stop relying on him and become Lacy Garza, you know what I mean? Because I know that if he were still here, Tim would be a bricklayer and I would be working where I was. And I can see the beauty in that. I can see why that had to happen in my life to lead me here today. And so this is my baby because this is what I've done for a year, and it's amazing to do this for yourself.
Yeah.
And so this is what he says. The magic 13, the 13 principles will help you. But remember that the answer you may be seeking to the questions which have caused you to ponder over the strangeness of life may be found in your own mind through some idea, plan, or purpose which may spring to your mind as you read. So divine inspiration is what he's saying. Like, you can look through your past, discover the lessons, and you might even get some divine inspiration that comes from those breakthroughs for you. And so magic questions here. Number 1, take the time to work through a few of your trials and tribulations in order to find the lesson or the gift that they brought you. And of course, guys, like, start small. You know, this is really heavy stuff, and you can do it from the smallest things, like, why is my coffee cold today? You know, to the biggest things, like I just shared with you guys. And then number 2, how did your parents look at failure? You got anything?
No, I got nothing on that one.
So Darby moved on to insurance, and this was his quote. I stopped 3 feet from gold, but I will never stop because men say no when I ask them to buy insurance. So what did Darby take from that? With the right thought, the right will, men will say yes. You do not have to take no for an answer if you hold the right thoughts in your mind. And so Darby became one of the 50 men who sold more than $1 million in insurance annually. And how long ago is this? Like, they were still digging for gold, right? So it's incredible. It is incredible, all with just a mind change from seeing the lessons in his past. When you think and grow rich, you will observe that riches begin with a, number 1, state of mind. Number 2, definiteness of purpose. And number 3, little to no hard work. What? Right? What? And so if this business is hard for you, it's because you're fighting yourself. You're fighting your own thoughts, your own feelings, your own process. And you and every other person ought to be interested in knowing how to acquire that state of mind, which will attract riches.
So last year we went to convention. Hollis told me something that it didn't make sense to me at first, but after some time it started to resonate, where he said, it's easy to be successful because nobody's doing it. And at first I was like, okay, that's cool. But then it made me realize that the reason why it's so easy, because so many people, they stop. They take 1 loss, they stop. They take 2 losses, they stop. The person who can just take L after L after L and keep adjusting, those are the folks that make it. And honestly, when you really look at it, it's not that hard. It's really not that hard. It's just staying persistent in what you're doing. And every time you take a loss, you grow from it instead of being defeated by it.
Yes. I love that you're doing this for me, Barry.
Oh, I love that. This is our life. This is clouded.
This is our life.
This is our life.
So in this chapter, he, like in 1 sentence, hit on the power of collective thought. And I just wanted to highlight it just so you could see the possibility of what thought really does. And so this is all that he said. The Depression started in 1929 and continued until after Roosevelt entered office. Then it faded into nothingness. The spell of fear gradually faded away to leave faith. And then he says, one of the main weaknesses of mankind is the average man's familiarity with the word impossible. Impossible. Nothing is impossible, right? And so he looks at the power of collective thought, and back then, everyone would read that sentence and say impossible. But we've came so far today. I bet some of you guys actually believe in this stuff.
Right.
And so man knows all of the rules that won't work. He knows all the things which cannot be done. But this book was written for those who seek rules which have made others successful and are willing to stake everything on those rules.
Our tribe.
Yes.
Our tribe does that.
And so where are we going with this? We are moving out of failure consciousness and into success consciousness. And when we stop fighting what we don't want and start fighting for what we do want, we have begun to move from failure to success consciousness.
Fire emoji. Fire emoji.
Flame, 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 right?
Woo!
So lesson 6 is give yourself up. And this is going to be confusing. The habit of measuring everything and everyone by your impressions and beliefs. That is your ego. That's what a lot of people call our ego. You cannot think in terms of riches because your thought habits have been steeped in poverty, want, misery, failure, and defeat. That's our limiting beliefs. That's our ego, right?
Love that.
And so your entire reality is created from memories of your past. And if you subconsciously, remember, we don't have access to our subconscious thoughts, so we don't know what they are. If you subconsciously believe that it is selfish to earn $5,000 a month in your business, life will make sure that you never earn $5,000 a month in your business, because we create our own reality with what we cannot accept. And what we cannot accept will never, ever come to us. And I have a really good story about this. Tim and I, at the peak of our LLC, reached $15,000 a month. So that's where we were. And then we came into network marketing and blew it up. And guess where our income stopped? $15,000 a month. Is that a coincidence, or is that a mindset problem?
Means we got to raise our frequency.
Exactly. And so we recognize that, right? And so it's amazing. I've seen this personally in our life.
And plus, I want you guys to realize that this takes time to raise your frequency. Like literally like a year.
It's a journey. I've been doing it for a year.
Yeah,
it's a journey.
A year of just like meditation, self-evaluation, really figuring out, why do I think the way that I feel? You know what I mean? Because it really keeps you trapped. So if you're going through this, be patient with yourself, because this is like climbing a mountain. But once you climb it, ooh, it's a whole different ballgame.
And at the end, we're going to talk about how you can climb it with me, because we've been doing it for a while.
For a while now. It's going to blow your minds at the end of it.
So this one goes, this is still the same lesson 6. And I gave this to you guys on the worksheet. This is a mantra that can help you guys release some of this stuff. So I live with loving indifference. Everything has a right to exist. So what does that mean? If you truly believe that everything has a right to exist, there's nothing for you to fight anymore. And when there's no longer anything for you to fight, all that's left is yourself. And so then you just get to pour into you, instead of being concerned with what your cousin's doing, or the Republicans, or, you know, this blah, blah, blah belief system. Like, once you can just love all that and leave it alone, all that's left is yourself.
Because I think one of the biggest concepts of becoming aware or personally developed is understanding the concept of duality. So you thinking that someone has to conform to your certain way of thinking, you're undeveloped, right? You have to understand that everybody comes from a certain place in their life, and you have to accept them from where they're at. Too many of us, we try to think that there's one way of belief, right? And that's when we get offended by people. That's when we get annoyed by people for their certain way of thinking. But when you understand that everybody comes from their own different timeline, and that's why they are the way they are, things start moving a little smoother for you. So you got to get that judgment shit out of here. It's got to go.
Yes. And see, that's the thing. Like, you can replace your beliefs with this, even if it's not really out of your subconscious. You know what I mean? And replacing, that will eventually pull it out. And so that's kind of how we get rid of this, is by forcing ourselves to believe in this. I live with loving indifference. Everything has a right to exist. Every person, you know, every place, everything, every company, all of it. Yeah. And so just because you feel or think something does not mean that it's true. And that's true with the things that you think about yourself and the things that you think about other people. And so judging yourself, others, places, and things, that comes from a place of scarcity. And the way that you can identify, am I acting out of my ego? If something has to change for something to happen, you are acting out of your ego. So if this person needs to do this for this to happen, you know, if I have to do this for this to happen. And so it's just letting go of that control, really, and letting everything exist without fighting it.
I love this slide. You guys ready for this one?
So, you are the master of your fate, the captain of your soul. And throughout chapter 1, Hill talks about what Henley should have added. And so that's what these next slides are about. So what Henley should have added is that you are the master of your fate, the captain of your soul, because you have the power to control your thoughts. And so these are all of our limiting beliefs that we don't even see. You know, I'm too old. No one cares about my life. I can't post about it. I'm not a leader. I don't deserve to be rich. Social media doesn't work. All of this stuff.
And if you said this to yourself even once, type 1 in the comments.
And I definitely have.
Yeah, everyone have. Right. Everyone has, I promise.
And so these are the things that are sabotaging us. And so these are all of our thoughts. And this is what's stopping us from success. But what we do is we blame our actions and our upline and our downline, when really it's these lenses, these filters in your mind. And so, for example, the limiting belief, no one will ever join me. If you think no one will join you, life will show you that they won't. Why? Because we create our own reality. So if you believe that no one will join your business, nobody can join your business, because life is going to prove it to you.
That's so accurate. So accurate.
So our limiting beliefs are meant to be our lessons, but we try to make them our saviors. And here's some examples. I believe that I cannot be successful on social media. I have to wait for paid ads. I believe I am worthless. I have to find something that gives me worth. I believe no one will join me. I will find something that will make them join me, right? Wrong. So we don't try to like manipulate or fix ourselves according to our limiting beliefs, because you can keep searching for something that will make people join you, but no one will until you learn your lesson and change your mind. Embrace the lesson, because you are the savior. It's you. You are the savior. And so then he goes on to say, Henley should have added that the earth floats in ether. We live and move in this ether at a high vibration. The ether is filled with a form of universal power. It adapts itself to the nature of the thoughts in our minds. It influences us to turn our thoughts into physical things. And it does not discriminate between constructive and destructive thoughts. So it will urge us to translate our thoughts into physical reality. And it will do this with poverty just as quickly as it will influence us to act upon riches, right? So if you have poor thoughts, you have poor reality. If you have positive thoughts, you have a positive reality. If you have miracle thoughts, you have a miracle reality, right?
And I feel like this is so critical, because if you ever hung around me and Lacy, our energy is just, we're grateful for everything. And everything is exciting to us, right? So everything is a miracle. Going to convention was a miracle. The fact that we're living how we're living right now is it's insane. Everything feels like sprinkles on top right now. And when you carry this type of mentality, basically a beginner's mind, to where everything fascinates you, everything is exciting. Going to the grocery store with us is a trip. Going to do anything with us is a trip. And you guys who have hung out with us for a couple hours at conventions and road events, you guys know. So when you do this, it raises almost like your vibration to where the world just gives you more things to be excited about, more things to be happy about. Like all of a sudden we're enjoying life, and then out of nowhere we're talking at the Indie Roadshow for the first time, and then 2 months later we're talking at convention, and now like Fraser Brooks, like Todd Falcone mentors. So the world, the universe is just like, here bro, you've been happy as hell for a while, take some of these, and they just start throwing miracles your way.
Yep.
So you got to raise your frequency. If you stay sad all the time, you're just going to get more things to be sad about. But if you're excited about everything all the time, you're just going to get more things to be excited about.
And I have to tell you too, the miracles will still come when you're sad. You'll just miss them. Yeah, you won't even get to like reach out and grab them and make them yours, because you're too busy being sad to see the miracle.
Because you'll have your head down. You can't see the opportunities that are in front of you.
Yes.
Well, I love this one.
So vibrations bring life lessons to show us that we are a miracle. Okay, so our vibration is based on our thoughts and the amount of subconscious limiting beliefs in our body. And remember, we do not know what our subconscious beliefs are. And so imagine that, you know, this is her vibration. This is the vibration that she's on. And so this is kind of where she's sitting in life right now. And so let's just pretend that we could see maybe the limiting beliefs that are keeping her at this vibration. Maybe in her business, she thinks that she's not successful because of lack of support. And then so up here, like, you know, once you're up here, you know you are a miracle. When you're right here, maybe you think it's your actions' fault, et cetera, et cetera. So it's all about that accountability and what you think about yourself and everything around you. And so she thinks she needs support. So life will continue to show her that she has none. She thinks she has no support. Life will continue to show her that she has none until she learns that she doesn't need the support, right? She's walking
your own support.
Right. She's walking around saying, I will never be successful because I have no support. Life keeps showing that to her. You're right. You don't. And then one day she's going to learn, I don't need it. It's all me. All I have to do is change my thoughts. Then I become my own savior, because success isn't in support, it's in yourself. Yes.
Because I feel like no matter how hard your situation is, if you have the bare necessities, and now when I say bare necessities, I mean the ability to critically think, the ability to solve problems, you're not out the game yet. You know, you could be broke as hell. You could have foreclosures, no car. But if you still have the ability to solve problems, the world's still wide open. And a lot of you still have that, right? So this is just absolutely insane. It's amazing.
That's all we need. That's all we need. So Another, Henley should have added that our brains become magnetized with the dominating thoughts which we hold in our minds with intense desire for riches. And so we all think about money all day, every day. And so whatever we think about money, our brain is becoming magnetized to that. And so I'm asking you guys, how healthy are your thoughts surrounding money? And here's our magic cues for this. How is your outlook on money?
Love it.
Number 2, do you judge others surrounding finances? Because if you're looking at the butlers and you're like, that is so selfish that you make all that money. Life is never going to let you make money, right?
I feel like instead of being upset, start being inspired. Because once you start being inspired by what other folks are doing, the universe is like, here you go, you want something for yourself.
You guys want to know our hungry bear trick? So when you are scrolling and you see somebody that makes you jealous, you replace the face. Put your face on top and be like, oh my God, look at me killing it.
Look at me killing it.
I'm out there earning all this money.
Woo.
Look at me killing it.
I'm opening schools and charities all day.
You're manifesting for yourself. You're happy for them. You're sending love and light. Everybody wins, right?
I mean, everybody had money blocks. Everybody does.
Mm-hmm.
I just saw it.
I mean, we didn't know, and we did. At $15,000, you can still have a money block, right? We told you guys about ours. And so number 3, I love this. Do you believe that you are worth $1 billion?
Yup.
Because here's the deal, guys. Money is just an energy exchange, and humans created money, and you are a human. So of course, you are worth more than every dollar in creation. I mean, because I would say that you're worth 1 billion gumballs. So why wouldn't we say that you're worth $1 billion, right? It's the same thing. It's something that we created, and you're worth all of it.
And it's cool to have like huge goals. You know what I mean? Like one of my loftiest goals. So if you live in Indianapolis, you know that the largest building here is the Chase Tower, aka the Salesforce Tower. Well, my 20-year goal is for us to own that. We'll live at the top. We'll have a school sprinkled throughout, and then businesses sprinkled throughout the rest of the floors. You have to set goals like that. So what do you think I think about every time I drive downtown? Every time I drive downtown, I look at that building. I was like, that's our building. And then I like get my vibration right? Let's say if I'm having a down weekend or something, or a down week or something like that, I'll drive downtown and I'll look at my building. And then I'll try to figure out, how am I going to get that? How are we going to influence the world and help so many people so where we can have that building? Because it's a huge building. I want to see above the clouds one day. Just sitting there drinking coffee. And
we're going to get it. We know this, right?
Dream big, guys. Dream big.
And so last but not least, how did your parents feel about money? And that's a big parent one right there.
For a lot of us,
that's where we get a lot of our money.
At least for me, it wasn't allowed to be talked about.
Right.
Like it was never talked about. The one thing that drove all of our lives while we're going to college, while we're working 40 hours a week, there weren't open discussions about that at home. So no wonder why so many of us are blind financially. We're just told to go work for it, but we're not told to actually use it.
It's like a cuss word.
Yeah.
Don't you bring up money at this house?
Don't you ask them how much they make. Don't you talk about how much they make. But we can gossip all day about people's business all day. But no one will talk about what they're making and how they can make more.
It's incredible. Crazy. It is incredible.
It's insane.
All right. We're almost to the end. I think this is the last one. Last but not least, Henley should have added, we must become money conscious until the desire for money drives us to create definite plans for acquiring it. And here's the thing, guys. I want to take a little bit of pressure off of you right here. When you get to the point where you are understanding this and you're understanding that life is perfect and you're starting to see your miracles, you can start to see your miracles pretty fast. What happens is when you have the no, life will bring you the how. So what do I mean by that? Tim and I, last year when we left convention, we made a decision that we were going to be on stage.
We didn't know how.
Over the course of the year, nothing changed. Our rank did not change. As a matter of fact, I stepped back to focus on growth. We did, nothing different. Indianapolis Roadshow, 2 speakers canceled. We get 2 spots. We do such a good job. They ask us to come and speak at convention. We did not make a plan. Life brought the how because we had the no. And so that is amazing. And that just goes to show you, things really get easier when we stop blaming, complaining, controlling, and we see life as a miracle and ourselves as a miracle.
Because the way things happen, the things that you want in life are never going to happen when you want them and how you want them. The whole thing is that you just stay in the fight. So even if you got knocked down, you need to keep one eye up for what's coming, because you never know. Like, we didn't plan none of that stuff, right? Yeah. And it all just fell in our laps like that, right? And so that's what I'm saying. So all of you guys, whoever wants to be on stage, drop a fire emoji in the comments. You guys can do it. Because that was our first convention. A lot of you guys, maybe you went to your first convention. So our timelines are exactly the same. You know what I mean? It's about what you're going to do until that time. How much value can you bring? How can you up your frequency? How can you up your value that you give to folks?
Changing your thoughts, yeah.
Because this company's all about it. They look for it. That's why we got chosen.
Well, and, you know, we just had a whole energy convention. And I feel like for like a year, I've been not talking so much about energy in here. But after our convention, we're going to talk about energy as much as we want. And so I want to really hit on this. This is the last slide, guys. Lessons will make way for miracles. If you can know that life is perfect, if you can know that you are a miracle, if you can embrace everything life brings to you, the opportunity is hiding in the hardships. And think about this. Think about our girl. When she's at the highest vibration and she knows she's a miracle and she knows that life is perfect, what lessons does life have to teach her? She's treating everybody like a miracle. She accepts everything that comes. There's nothing that she hates. She's receiving abundance. You know, what is there? What lesson is there when you get there? And so it's really cool. You can see how things will get easier and easier as we let go of our mechanisms. And so magic cues for this. Number one, can you slowly begin to believe that life is perfect?
Because it is.
And number two, can you slowly begin to believe that you are a miracle and that the only person who can stop you from being a miracle is you and your thoughts?
And here's a little trick that I want to teach you guys. I want you to make up your ultimate sad story that you're going through right now. I want you to say, you know, I'm going through foreclosure. I can't afford my bills. I'm losing my house. I hate my job. Now I want you to change how you word that. Back in the day, I was going through foreclosure. I was losing my job. I couldn't pay my rent. But now, got all that. You know what I mean? So by you flipping that, take your mess and turn it into your message and start treating it like that. And once you start treating it like your message instead of your mess, you start coming up with solutions to fix that.
Yes.
And that's how we've lived our lives for like 5 years now.
Well, and know that the success doesn't bring a lesson or a gift. You know, the mess brings a lesson. It brings you a gift. And it's like, take this and go make millions with it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, don't throw it away because you're scared of it. It could help you make millions.
Because you got to see it. You got to see it. Like right now, I'm closing my eyes and I can see all of you guys in the VIP area. The VIP area is no longer like this small square. It's like the first 2 huge rows spanning the whole, we're going to say arena. Right? Yeah. So everybody on this live, we're all chilling in there. Me and Lacy on the white couch. That's our next thing. We got the stage. Now we want the damn couch. And we want to have it customized with their paw prints on it, right? You got to think. You got to vision that shit. Because I guarantee
He's right. Nobody desires like Tim desires.
I desire with the best of them, right? So the whole thing is by next year, we're going to call it. We're going to have our white couch. We're going to have our paw prints. And we're going to look behind us. And all of our teammates are going to take up all those VIP spots. I want to be where Kristen and Aaron Parker were this year.
Okay, hang on. Let me do this real quick and then we'll go. Before you guys hop off, I want to tell you. So a year ago when I stepped away to do this stuff for myself, I knew that it was not my actions and it was not my people and it was not my upline and it was not my business. It was not my husband. And so I realized that I had to find myself. And so that's when I kind of stepped back to grow. And you know, I kind of felt insane for a while. I felt alone. Nobody knew what the heck I was doing. And eventually, once I got my stuff back together, we started a group, and it's called The Hungry Bear. And it's $5 a month. So if you would like help in removing your limiting beliefs, if you would like to be in our community, we start every morning with a lesson, a meditation, and power mantras. I'm changing it to mantras.
I mean, who wouldn't want to spend every morning with Lacy?
Well, and here's the thing. You know, we started it like 6 months ago. And everybody who went to convention that's in the Hungry Bear,
they're so beautiful.
They received it in a different way. they had no drama. They showed up as these angels, and there was no problems. And I recognized that in 6 months, they paid $30 to completely transform their lives and to be able to show up at that event ready to receive. And, you know, a lot of people didn't get that because they couldn't do that. And I know that there's no other limiting belief program for $5 a month. So I'm very comfortable with it, and we'd love for you guys to join it.
Yeah, and you could tell too, the folks who aren't in the group that were on our team that were at convention, because it was just unnecessary drama for no reason. Which is
what we work against in here, and everybody knows.
Yeah, and that's why we charge $5, because we want to make, that's a little qualifier for folks to get in. So therefore, it's not just everybody has access, because the thing is, comments are powerful.
Well, and we are connected in consciousness in that group. Like, we work in energy together every single day. So it's really high vibe stuff.
Exactly. So we can't just let anybody in there, because if people start throwing bad energy, we know how contagious bad energy is.
Well, and I got a lot of religious stuff in the beginning too. So,
yeah.
So
we had to like set a little barrier to decide who really wanted to be part of this group, because we're progressive.
But I know that it's hard. And so I made this group for you guys. And if you would like to join, if you would like somebody to do this with, that's the big difference, because nobody can do this for you. That's what this whole journey is about, is realizing there's no other savior. It's just yourself. And so if you want somebody to do this with, because that's truly all anybody can do is do it with you, hit us up. We'd love to have you. And I hope that you guys absolutely love this. I'm really pumped to keep doing these every week, because I feel like from all of the work that I've done, we can kind of see things a little bit deeper, and we can break this down and make it more understandable and more modern for today.
Hey, just imagine how amazing next convention is going to be.
I can't.
Oh my God, guys, it's going to be insane. It's going to be so much fun. Cheers.
All right, so I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I hope that you really enjoyed this.
Virtual high fives, everybody.
My computer's not even going to let us in this.
Virtual high fives. Love you guys.
We love you. Have an amazing night, and we will see you guys next week. Bye, guys.
Everybody loved it. Oh, yeah.